Hey guys, welcome back to Cozy Womb Podcast. It's Shan, mom of the girls. What's up? Welcome to episode 14, the last episode of season 14 for Cozy Womb Parenting Myths. You see the title. The title says, Dads Don't Have to Do Much. And we all know that's a lie. Okay, for me, growing up, most fathers thought working, paying bills, driving, and making sure wives had food to cook was parenting, and that was it. And it was just this expectation that moms had it handled. The rest you have handled. You know, go ask your mom or go do this, right? Maybe punishment was on the list of things dads did back then, but today's dads work. They play with their kids. They vacation with their families. They help with cleaning. They help with homework sometimes. Some of them even cook. Some of them even do their child's hair, okay? And I'm not just talking taking their sons to the barbershop. Some of them are in there doing ponytails, braids, all types of stuff, okay? And it looks cute, okay? And they get them edges, okay? I think seeing involved dads is a refreshing thing to see for me as a mom. So this myth that dads don't have to do much today is false. It's a lie. Dads do a lot, and I think we have to appreciate the growth, because I know my dad wasn't doing what these dads are growing up. And even with masculinity being tried or joked about because dads are showing up more and doing more when it comes to their families, more dads show up and they are not talked about, and I want to talk about it today. Welcome to Cozy Womb Podcast. Let's get into the show. Hey, are you out there trying to start your own podcast? You don't know where to start. You don't know how to organize it. You're not sure of what your flow should be. You have a name, but you don't really know what are the key things you want to push out there. You want to make sure you tap all the areas, whether it's with guests or whether you have details about how you want to close the show or start the show. You want to format what season you're in, all of those little things that you want to know when you're starting your podcast. Cool, because the best thing about podcasts is there is no rules. But I do have a handy dandy journal just for new podcast starters. It's a starter, think of it like a starter workbook journal for people who are starting their podcast and finding their flow and their niche in podcasting, because there's millions of podcasts now. Everybody's starting one, but it's the ones that stay consistent and see it through. Cozy Womb Podcast is on its 15th season. I started it in 2018, and when I started, I knew nothing really of how I wanted this to go, how far I wanted it to go. You would really think I would run out of information, but I haven't, because I created a format for me to always develop a new focus each season. So I want to help you too. Go to lulu.com, LULU.com, put in the THEE podcast journal. Okay, you're going to see a book of mine pop up. I just did it for you guys, and you can purchase that book right off of Lulu, send directly to your home, and start writing, start creating, and get on your podcast today. All right, now back to the show. Today's dads are multi-able, okay? And they're more willing to compromise with scheduling, married or single, okay? Single dads are balancing it all, not just single moms. Single dads are out here balancing it all. And because single dads are not on a loudspeaker or on your favorite podcast yelling about,
what's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the "did we just hit a million orders" stage? Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
It's time for another season of The Palmetto Porch, an original podcast from Discover South Carolina. I'm Devin Whitmire. Join me as I get to the heart of what makes South Carolina such a great place to visit by speaking to the locals who make it so special. Premiering December 5th, find The Palmetto Porch wherever you get your podcasts. And for more information about our show, visit scpalmettoporch.com.
How they do it all, and this mom doesn't show up and this mom is not here, and they're not doing that. They're busy working, they're busy showing up for their kids, and it's appreciated beyond the weekend time. There's no longer weekend dads to be praised anymore, thank God, right? But for dads who do show up on the weekend and during the week, they're appreciated. Dads that do take their kids to their doctor's visits or their extracurricular after school activities, they are appreciated today, and I love that for them. I love the support kids get today from fathers who show up on a Thursday just because regular days count the most. If you think about all of the holidays that we have versus the regular days that a lot of parents are not around for. If you have a dad that's around on the regular days and the holidays, you're in good hands, okay? You're in good hands. The regular days count the most. Remember that. And involved that is the structure and the basis of children's confidence, their secureness, and for all kids to feel like they have stability and they can go through whatever life throws at them because they have a mom and dad to support them, or they have grandparents and their dad to support them, or they have, their uncle who's a dad to their cousins, but also a dad to them, or an older sibling that shows up as a father figure in their life. They have that, and that's why a dad role is very important for many different reasons. So I think society has to stop treating dads like a wallet, bragging about fun dads. I think fun dads are cool and necessary at times, but the dads that come through and they teach and they struggle with their kids and they win with their kids and they help their kids develop life skills are treasures. They're treasures, and a lot of times, because a lot of families always have that quote-unquote good dad, a lot of their efforts go unnoticed. A lot of their efforts go not appreciated. And I'm just having this episode today to talk about the fact that dads do a lot, and dads do show up today. Maybe they're not always, bragged about, besides on Father's Day for those 5 minutes, or, on their birthday, or, their marriage anniversary, whether the days are dads, giving semi-flowers, Christmas, I don't know. Whenever kids get to a level of stability in their adult life, I see more now. Maybe it's just social media, but maybe I see more that they're giving their flowers a bit earlier, whether they came up with money you needed for emergency when you were in college and now you pay them back, whether or not, they got sick and, their kids end up being the one to give them their kidneys or whatever it is. It's amazing and it's appreciated. And I'm glad a lot more fathers are getting the gratitude, getting the appreciation now and not just after they're not here anymore. And when it comes to your kids developing life skills, it's very important to have a mom and dad there to show them, because a lot of times a lot of moms are comfortable speaking on them doing single parenting. A lot of dads aren't. Some dads think like if they talk about it, it's quote unquote complaining, but it really isn't. It's just giving another view of things. And women can't always give the right view on what it's like to be a single father. A lot more single fathers are going to have to stand up. A lot more dads who were in the household with the kids and the mom, and now maybe it's a divorce or maybe a parent died and it's just them, need to speak up, because a lot of people think it is not possible for a dad to show up like moms do. And when it comes to like affection from fathers as well as discipline, it helps create healthy boundaries for children. And don't get me wrong, the work-life balance dads today are out here and they're killing it. Whether it's IG, Facebook, quote unquote metaverse, or TikTok, we see them showing up and I love it. I love to see the videos. I repost the videos when I catch them. And dads don't want to just feel shut out all the time. Dads don't want to be out the room in the process of bringing in their child in the world. They want to be a part of it. And they ask questions and they're super supportive of what their kids need. And that's something that's very commendable because I don't know, for me, my dad wasn't like that, okay? My dad was not checking in, and my dad wasn't doing the above and beyond projects like my mom was. And dads today, I think a lot of us forget what pressure they're under. They're under a lot of pressure. And I know moms are under pressure, but let's just focus today on the dads that are under these pressures, and I'm going to just list them out just so you get like a mindset of what's going on for them. Dads have society pressure, they have work pressure, they have financial pressure, they have environment pressure, whether they live somewhere that's not all the way safe, but they can afford to move out of the area, or, all the help and the family that they have is in that area, so they just live there. They have police pressure, depending on what their skin tone is a lot of times, whether it comes from their wives or the pressure of their children's mom. They have that pressure to deal with. Sometimes a lot of dads are doing their best, not just saying they're doing their best, but they're doing their best and they're making an effort. And sometimes because a lot of moms or wives are super exhausted, they don't see the little things that make a big difference, so they don't get noticed, right? So that wife/mom pressure is real. Personal pressures they put on themselves, whether they're dealing with child trauma pressure that they haven't told anybody about, but they're raising a child now and they're trying to figure out how they can work around it. And really, when moms or dads are dealing with any type of child trauma or pressure from that, the only way to work through that so you can be a healthy parent for your child is to work through your child trauma. Discuss it, talk to somebody, write it down, get it out, because what we can't do is raise our children in the fear that what happened to us is going to happen to them and put them in this bubble to where they can't live their lives because we're scared. And so I recognize the child trauma. I mean, a lot of us have child trauma. I have child trauma. My daughter's dads have their own child trauma. But you got to work through it, and it's your responsibility as a parent to work through it. Dads also deal with fatherly duties that they have to balance with the time that they have. 24 hours in a day, you got to balance it all. Self-care. A lot of them don't self-care because they figure, I don't have the time, I need to get this money, or I need to take them here, or I need to pick them up, or I need to go catch the bus. If I do this, I won't be able to catch a train, I'm going to be late, it's going to be a bigger issue, and it's going to be on me. And a lot of this stuff they feel like they have to carry with them every day. So a few weeks ago, I realized that a lot of men don't feel loved like they should, because they feel like the love from people, when it comes to them, comes with conditions. They're only loved because they do this. They're only loved because they give this. They only love because they have this. And when they don't have it, they don't feel loved. When they don't have it, they don't feel appreciated. And I feel bad that a lot of men feel like that. But I get why a lot of men feel like that, because society paints this picture like, you're not a man if you don't have these things. You're not a man if you can't give these things. You're not a man if you don't show up in your household this way. And so I understand that. And so just imagine that on top of trying to be a dad and trying to father and trying to be a husband or trying to be a good co-parent, and you're juggling all of that. Okay? Not everybody is built for tough, okay? The self-care time is something that they need to learn to balance. Their health risk. A lot of dads don't think about their health. They think that, I didn't sleep for 3 nights. It's okay, but I gotta work. No, your body nurtures itself, rejuvenates itself by sleeping, by resting. And a lot of dads stress themselves and work, and they forget to take care of their bodies. And when their bodies start to shut down, because their family is always depending on them and not helping out, all that pressure is on them while they're trying to rebuild their strength to get up and go to work because the family needs money. A lot of dads are under the pressure, especially if they run their own business, that they're not allowed to rest. They're not allowed to have a day off. If they're sick, their family can't eat, because their family solely depends on them. So it's hard for them to be like, yeah, I do need a break. Yeah, I do need to step back. Yeah, my back is hurting and I've been ignoring it for weeks. I've been getting these headaches and I've been ignoring it for weeks. Yeah, my arm's been heavy and I've been ignoring it for weeks. You can't do that. And we can't be comfortable with our fathers and our husbands and our children's fathers telling us, whether it's directly or indirectly, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I don't feel good, something ain't right, I've been off for a few weeks. I'll try to get around to it. And it's not that they don't want to do it, that they don't do it. Sometimes their plate is really full. Sometimes they're so tired that they really forget. But you got to be willing to be considerate to someone else's needs or the burdens they carry to understand that. A lot of fathers are under huge health risks, okay? A lot of fathers are fighting grief and hiding grief because they fight in their manhood. Because society still sees like men aren't supposed to be weak, men aren't supposed to cry, men are not supposed to be sad. And so a lot of men hide that, and that can turn into anger, that can turn into depression really quick, or that could turn into, them just being dehydrated because they're not taking care of themselves enough, right? The lack of confidence in self, men deal with, fathers deal with, and they try to hide it because they got to be strong for their families or they got to be strong for their kids. Figuring out if the decision they're making was right for their family as the head of household. That's a lot of pressure because a lot of people look at the man that lives in the household as you're supposed to make sure everything runs good. You're supposed to provide. You're supposed to protect. And if you make a bad decision that affects everybody in this household, then it's your fault. It's on you. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of pressure. Then you have just like personal goals that they have that they're scared to be like, you know what? I was thinking of taking 6 months off of doing this work so I could go to school or I can go in training to learn this. And a lot of people are going to be taken back because like, oh my gosh, you don't want to help out your family. You don't want to do for your family. You want to do something for yourself. But most men put their dreams and their aspirations of what they want to do behind them because their family comes first. But I think that family comes first sometimes is a contradiction, because how great is your family going to be if you're not your greatest as a dad, if you're not your greatest as a mom? You know what I'm saying? So sometimes you're going to have to balance the family being first with yourself. And that's okay, right? As a daughter, sister, aunt, and mom, I understand. I understand it. The work from home dads, I get it, okay? The stay-at-home dads, we know y'all living the wild life, okay? And all I want to say is that Cozy Womb Podcast wants you to know your efforts do not go unseen. your struggles do not go unheard. I understand them. I had to put myself in a man's view or perspective a lot of times, trying to be the best co-parent that I can be or be considerate a lot of times. And I just wanted people to understand that there are ways to thank dads today, and I don't think we do enough thanking to them. And I'm gonna just go over some ways that you could thank a dad that you know, or your dad, or your child's dad, or even if you're a child to a father that's very involved and doing his best, ways that you could thank him. So one way that you could thank a dad today is thank them for being around, right? Thank them for their guidance. Thank them for their unconditional love. Thank them for every day that they pushed through when they felt like quitting, because a lot of these dads feel like quitting. A lot of these dads see dads that don't show up, living a good life, minding their business, not having worries, not having the pressures that they carry because they're being responsible and showing up, and they start to feel away. They start to feel like, let me just give up and just hope that by the time my child turns 18, they'll come find me and want me in their life. And it doesn't work that way. That's not realistic. That's not fair. Thank a dad today by telling them that even though they didn't have a great dad growing up, they still became a great dad, and you're thankful about it. Tell them how the lessons that they gave you throughout your life helped you as an adult. Thank your dad for the generosity they had when they could have thought about themselves, and they thought about their family, and they thought about their kids. Thank your dad for showing you how to love a woman properly, how to love, your mom properly as a man. A lot of daughters don't see that enough because some moms don't date. Some moms don't want to have the heavy rotation of men coming in and out of their lives and let their daughters see. So a lot of daughters run into, if their biological father wasn't around or that relationship wasn't healthy, they don't go through life seeing healthy examples of a marriage, healthy examples of a man courting a woman, healthy examples of how to properly disagree with a man. They don't see that. Boys, even if a dad is outside the household, they'll still see their dad sometimes with a woman, but it's sort of like they're juggling, is the way that my dad has his girlfriend the right way? Or so is it the way that my mom tells me a man should be the right way? So dads matter, and being an example of how to treat women and how to be a man in a relationship matters for the daughters and the sons, okay? Thank a dad for being easy to talk to. A lot of dads aren't easy to talk to. A lot of dads overthink, or they just get really, irate over the little things, and you feel like you can't talk to them, or you want to talk to your mom because she's easier, or you want to talk to your dad because he's more understanding. Thank them up for that. And another big one to thank dads for is just say, unlike my friends, I had my dad at home with me, I had my dad worried about me, showing me what to do, showing up at my events, showing up for me late nights when, I did stupid stuff. All of that stuff matters. So if you are around a good dad, or a good dad, let them know today that they're a good dad. I got more for y'all after these messages. If you are out there looking for a hoodie, t-shirt, top, mug, whatever you need to get through your day, get through your morning in the parenting thing of things, okay? Check out the Cozy Womb Shop, all right? Support your podcast. Get something for you. Do something for me. I appreciate you. Let a stranger know that the Cozy Womb Podcast exists, with a hoodie, t-shirt, onesie, whatever you want to get. Even a mug. Sip something good in the morning for you. Do something for somebody else. Check out the Cozy Womb Podcast Shop. Now back to the show.
What's the easiest choice you can make? Window instead of middle seat? Picking a vendor who sends a great gift basket? Outsourcing business tasks you hate? What about selling with Shopify? Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage. Shopify's there to help you grow. Whether you're selling scented soap or offering outdoor outfits, Shopify helps you sell. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/try. Go to shopify.com/try now to grow your business, no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/try.
It's time for another season of the Palmetto Porch, an original podcast from Discover South Carolina. I'm Devin Whitmire. Join me as I get to the heart of what makes South Carolina such a great place to visit by speaking to the locals who make it so special. Premiering December 5th, find the Palmetto Porch wherever you get your podcasts. And for more information about our show, visit scpalmettoporch.com.
Here we go.
Back to the show.
Back to the show.
You're back. All right. So back to the episode. Dads don't have to do much. That's a lie. That's the myth. That's our last myth for season 14, episode 14. But before we get out of here, I do want to say some quick things. I do want to go over the myths that I did this season regarding parenting and kids. And I'm going to do from 1 to 14, from 1 to where we are, right? So the first myth I did this season was your married partner will stay for the kids. That's a whole lie. And I feel like that's been perpetuated and pushed for too long. That has a lot of people in unhealthy relationships and unhealthy marriages because they want to give the image of we're a happy family to society. But your kids can feel that tension in the home. And I just hope dad or mom, you guys do the right choice for the kids, right? And that is not staying. Okay. Myth number 2 is telling your child no will harm them. That was so false. Okay. Telling your child no is sometimes out of love, not because you don't want them to have fun. And you have to let your kids know that. Myth number 3, your child will like sports if you did. That's a lie. Okay. You might be a man that was in sports or a mom that was in sports and your child comes out to be a whole book nerd or a bookworm or love acting and not sports. Okay. So just be open-minded. Myth number 4 was not having strict rules is better. That was wrong. That was a myth. That was a lie. Okay. You need to have balance in parenting. So you need both. You need, boundaries, things that you won't waver on. And you also need to be open at the same time. Myth number 5 was everyone is wrong about my kids. That was a myth because a lot of times, if you are getting the consistent feedback from everyone that you come across, you've been changing schools with your kid and they've been telling you consistently the same thing, and you notice that your child's behavior is not like every other kid, it's your kid. It can't always be everybody else at the same time. Next myth that I talked about is balancing marriage and kids is easy. That's a whole lie, okay? That's teamwork. Myth number 7 was having money makes parenting easier. That was a myth. That was a lie. Okay. Having money is just a mask to the problems that may come up in parenting. And if you raise your kids on a money only mindset will fix everything, they are going to run amok. Okay. And they're going to run your bills up. Okay. Next myth was I want a baby, so emotionally I'll be ready. Wrong. Okay, so wrong. Emotionally, once you are pregnant, you do not know how you're going to feel. You have no clue on how pregnancy is going to affect your body. And then after you have the baby, you're going to have to introduce yourself and that baby that you don't even know that well to the new you. Okay, and so it's going to be you, your baby, your spouse, the child's father, your family, meeting you as a mom for the first time. Okay, so it's something that you don't know, but you think that you can prepare for, but it's not always as easy as it seems. Myth number 9 was not being religious will hurt my kids. Now, that was me tipping-toeing into the abyss, because I really don't talk about religion on any of my podcasts a lot because I am not very religious for my reasons. I'm not knocking anybody that is very religious or isn't very religious, but I just want to talk about the ways that people who are religious make parents feel like they're horrible parents because they don't get their children baptized, or their children don't have godparents, or their children aren't in the church every Sunday, and we all have to get to a point where we stop shunning people on their parental decisions that they do with their children, because whether or not you like what someone does with their children or not, what are you going to do as someone that's not a part of their family, is not a part of their household, and is not a parent to that child about it? You're not going to do anything. So even like when people have thoughts on like what celebrities are doing with their kids, or what they name their kids, or how they dress their kids, or what they allow their kids to do, I have to get to a point where I'm just like, that's not my business. What are your thoughts on that? I don't have any thoughts, because that's none of my business. What they do will not affect me. What they do will not affect my children. How they do it, how they parent, all of that stuff we have to pull back from a little bit, because it starts to make people feel like their opinion matters to everybody. And the reality is all of our opinions cannot matter to everybody. The next myth episode that I did was stay-at-home parents are happier. And y'all know I had to tell the truth, because that's a whole lie, okay? Episode 11, myth 11, was they can eat what they want, meaning kids can eat what they want. That's a whole lie, okay? Kids should not be out here eating what they want. That is very unhealthy. Then we had episode 12, myth 12, all moms enjoy mothering. That was a whole lie. I wanted moms to know that was a whole lie. I wanted moms to know that was a whole lie. And I wanted people who are not moms to get that through their head, that that's a whole lie. Just because someone gave birth to a child, raised a child, doesn't mean that they enjoy being a mom. And a lot of times you can tell when a mother does not enjoy being a mother, because the child is either super independent, or just behavior is completely out of whack, and that parent is very calm about it. Okay? It's always two crazy ends to the spectrum of that. Now you had myth number 13, telling your kids you love them is not important. That was a good episode. I enjoyed that episode. It was very honest and blunt. And I hope if you did not check out all of those episodes that you do. And that was for season 14 for Cozy Womb Podcast. And this last episode is the one we've been talking about, or I've been running my mouth about. And it's myth number 14, dads don't do much. And that's a lie, because dads today do a whole lot, okay? And I want to give you guys, before we get out of here, some podcasts that dads do that you should check out. So I don't know if you listen to these podcasts or you check them out or you know these podcasts, but some of these podcasters I know personally, good people. Some of them are married, some of them are single, some of them are co-parenting. Either way, they are showing up as fathers in their kids' lives, and you should check them out. So the first podcast I have on here is Dear Son. That's a good podcast. BTG for President with Baylorism. That's a good podcast. Check that out. West Coast. It's Scary to Remarry. Check that out with Sean. Ignorant Philosophy. That's a great show. He's going to be a father of 3 very soon. Right now, he's enjoying fatherhood with his son. OTR podcast, them boys. All right, that's fam. That's pod fam. Some dads on there. Too Much Game podcast. Hey, West Coast. That's a good dad right there. Very honest, very blunt. Young, Black, and Bothered. Greg. Greg is a daddy to my favorite weed, baby. The Baby Daddy Chronicles. Now, he's not a dad yet, but I'm sure in the future he will be. But on that show, he does provide a platform for dads to come through and talk about being fathers. So if you're interested, I'm sure he would be interested in having you on the show. So hit him up. That is the Baby Daddy Chronicles. Ghetto Boys podcast. Yes, the Ghetto Boys from back in the day on them albums. They got a podcast and it's really good. The Bobby Dollar Show is a really good podcast you should check out. Chilling with Juice podcast, okay? Your favorite mailman. Dad, okay? Good podcast. Makes time to podcast and be a dad, okay? Nuts and Guts podcast. You got Black Paco. Check it out. Dear Fathers podcast is a great podcast. Please check that out. Hashtag Dad Swag podcast. That's a tongue twister. Raw and Uncut podcast, okay? Check him out. Opinions Are Like podcasts. Check them out. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint podcast. Jay Jones, okay? Period. Check him out. Check out blacknews.com. Check out the platform that he provides for Black business owners to put up their own product on his site for free. Check it out. Black Entrepreneur Blueprint with Jay Jones. The Dumb Dad podcast, Dope Black Dads podcast is a great podcast. I listen to them all the time. The Sneaker Dads podcast, that's the SNKR Dads podcast. And there's a lot more great dad podcasts out there. Please check them out. In the meantime, appreciate a dad, okay? Let them know that they're appreciated. They need to hear it. They need to feel it. When they start doubting themselves, sometimes it shows up as anger. They just need reassurance, just like you would need reassurance when you're doubting yourself. Check them all out, okay? Season 15 will start next Monday. It will be more in-your-face topics regarding parenting, kids, and needing to know things as parents as you grow with your kids. So don't be afraid to check out those episodes. It will be more episodes than this season coming because there's more things to talk about. I've really been filtering out what I would want to say, what I haven't said already, and what hasn't been talked about. Giving you guys more experiences that I had as a kid growing up. More experiences that other people are having that I will have on the show as bonus episodes. So be on the lookout. Check your favorite podcast platforms. I appreciate everybody who's been listening to the podcast thus far. In February, I will be celebrating our anniversary episode, which I think will be like February 18th since I started the podcast in 2018. So be on the lookout for that. Thank you guys for such a great season. I appreciate all the parents that, called in or dropped a review, gave me feedback, all the DMs. Please check out the Cozy Womb shop with Teespring. Check out the podcast journal on lulu.com. The podcast journal is a journal for podcasters to find their flow of the show, how they want to set up the show, and just get an idea of what they would need in order to have a successful podcast for them. What are their 5 key elements that they want to have in every episode for every show, and how to really be consistent through the growth of their podcast. By the time you finish that journal yourself, you can either buy another one or you can figure out what your own flow is. But I just want to give like a tool for new podcasters that are trying to figure out how they want their show to go. And if you want to call in and talk about your product, something that will probably help parents, or any feedback for the show, or anything you would want me to talk about, or just say hi, whatever, you can call into the show at 770-284-8175. And you could call into the show for Cozy Womb Podcast. You could call in for Loudmouth Stereo, She Gets It Pod, So What Page Be on Bid, or The Real Relationship Report. Either way, I will go through and I will listen, and you might hear yourself on the show. So it's up to you. Just call in when you want. Either way, Cozy Womb will be back on Monday with a new season. I'm excited. I might have some new guests on. I might have some repeated guests. I don't know. It's really going to be a good season. I can feel it. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are in February. It is coming up. Don't be scared. It's going to be our shortest month of the year, but it's going to be a good month because we're going to make it one. All right. Thank you for listening to the Cozy Womb Podcast. You guys have a great Monday. Peace.